Hey, what's going on? We are back with the Draft Jam. This is week 5. Last week we had a nice bounce back win against Amel in pretty convincing fashion, and we are hoping that we can keep that going. This week we played T-Row, and I would say this matchup, at first glance, it wasn't immediately obvious to me that this matchup was either particularly good or particularly difficult. But as I started prepping throughout the week, I realized this matchup's actually it felt pretty difficult. But yeah, so I'll just go ahead and get into it. The first one is Roaring Moon. I think my team is actually quite favorable against the Roaring Moon. The main reason being I have a Azumarill, which walls both of its stabs, which is, as I mentioned when I was first drafting, it's one of the main reasons that I took a Azumarill is that it walled Roaring Moon, among other things. Another good Pokemon into Roaring Moon is just Ting-Lu. It just doesn't learn any moves to hit Ting-Lu. Generally speaking, the main way it's going to get damage on Ting is through being choiced and U-turning a bunch of times, which doesn't necessarily even play into his favor because if he's a set like that, then he's not set up. So it's difficult for him to be a wincon of any kind. But then also he racks up Helmet Chip if I in the case that I'm Helmet. Another thing is there are a few Pokemon that can just be resist berries. They can just stay in and attack back. Not for an Oko necessarily, but for significant damage. There's also the Cyclizar, which is just straight out faster and one-shots it with I think only Draco. And I mean there's Outrage too, but we're not looking at Outrage. So I think Draco one-shots it or close to one-shots it. There's also, I guess, the potential for Scarf Kyurem. And then the Terra guys can be Fairy in theory. Even if they're not Fairy, when it comes to Annihilate, Roaring Moon is never dropping Annihilate in one for the most part. So there's that, and it does KO back with Fighting Move. So yeah, I wouldn't say that. I think Roaring Moon, just off its raw power, depending on how my opponent preps, maybe to take advantage of or remove or exploit certain things. There's certainly a way to generate an opening for Roaring Moon, but in general, I think my draft fares better into it than most. One thing I would expect, I think in mocks, the main set that I was seeing and the main set that was irritating was just a simple Scarf. Not in that the Scarf Roaring Moon itself was picking up a bunch of KOs, but it was just very annoying. It does force a lot of switches, so the U-turn is very safe. Into some things that I'm less favorable into the Thundurus in particular. If he is a setup set, I do think it will be booster attack, probably with Thunderfang. I think the reason it has to be Thunderfang is there's literally no other move for Azumarill. So, and the reason I bring this up too is there's kind of a bit of 4 move slot syndrome in that. If we are talking about a late game wincon set, by the way, it will be obvious right away what set he is probably, because if it's Scarf, we'll probably see it early, and if it's the DD set that I'm talking about, then it'll be late. But to the point about Thunderfang, you gotta fit Thunderfang, otherwise you will never ever in a million years beat Azumarill. But now that leaves you 2 attacks to hit the rest of my team, and it's not that easy to do. As I said, there's really no move for Ting-Lu, so whatever strategy that he goes with along these lines is going to have to get rid of Ting-Lu first. So after that, I guess we're looking at dual stab. I guess that should hit everything. Obviously, it doesn't hit the Ting-Lu, but it hits everything else. But yeah, I guess it's just tough to bring a set like that, which is why I expect Scarf more than anything. Because you need to force a move like Thunderfang to hit Azu, and then Ting-Lu is just Ting-Lu. There's really no getting around it. So I've beaten the Roaring Moon horse to death at this point. Actually, I have Rachi. Rachi kind of feels like it can be anything. I think there's always value. I would never say always, I guess, but in a lot of matchups, there's always value to a simple utility set that's bulky, maybe bulky fast, or bulky Spadaf or whatever. That's just rocks and T-Wave or whatever. In this case, I don't think Para is very likely because Ting-Lu is such a likely and reliable switch. Thundurus arguably is also a likely and reliable switch. So my opponent probably can reasonably assume that like T-Wave on switch is just not going to be a way to make progress passively, and will probably choose something else to get that done. In fact, I would say like if to the extent that Para is even feasible here, it's probably through Body Slam rather than through T-Wave. But I mean, other than that, there's also like the chance of being some sort of like offensive, policy or CM. Looking at the team, I'm trying to think what moves would get that done. As a type of, I mean, as is like a recurring theme, not only in this matchup, but in general, like Tinglu also is going to beat this pretty reliably. So, like even if he brings a move for Tinglu, it's not a given that that's going to be sufficient. But I do have, you could say Moonblast would be one move that works. It hits the Cyclozar, Base Form, Annihilate, Kyurem, and Tinglu. So, you might be like CM Moonblast. You might still want Iron Head just to hit Slowking G, because there's no special move that's going to be favorable there. And then that leaves you with like one more move for... yeah, this set probably sucks. This set's probably garbage. So with that in mind, it's probably just gonna be Utility Rachi. As I think about it more, yeah, I can't think of an offensive set that's gonna have the moves for all this. So, in general, I'm not worried about it, though. I do have a lot of guys that eat from Rachi. The Tinglu, the G King, Azumarill kind of, although I wouldn't use it that way. Thundurus, Sinistra, Annihilate, Bronzong. So offensive Rachi is not something I'm worried about. Next we have the Thundurus-Therian, which does seem, I think all of his Terra guys are actually pretty dangerous. I can reasonably assume that the Thundurus set that's going to come is going to be something that's going to hit Tinglu and or Slowking super effectively. A case can be made that it actually doesn't need to hit Tinglu super effectively if it fits Grass Knot, because Tinglu is so heavy that +2 Grass Knot does a lot. I don't think it kills, but you don't necessarily need Noko on everything to be able to win or make a lot of progress. But that's significantly less true for Slowking G. You're probably going to need to hit that super effectively, or maybe like if he tears into a stab at +2, like you're gonna need that to drop G King. So with that in mind, if he's gonna hit Tinglu super effectively, it's probably gonna be something like probably not Fighting or Grass, because Slowking hits that super effectively. So maybe Water is fairly likely. Water is also immune to the Thundurus because it has Volt Absorb. My Thundurus, that is. So it's another reason like Water is kind of feasible here. If he ran that, he would need to be T-Bolt, Terra Blast, Dark Pulse. That's followed by Kyurem. So he might need Focus Blast actually over Grass Knot. I don't know how good that is. Maybe. So that could be a reason that he might be flying or electric. I guess Ice, because Ice would hit the Sinistra, it would remove the need to be Dark Pulse. Well, no, you'd still need Dark Pulse for Slowking. It's probably not Ice. Yeah, maybe he just tears into a stab. In Mox, I played a lot of flying, and that set was pretty dangerous, the Terra flying, so I think that actually might be best here. But if he goes for like a super effective way to hit Ting, then I guess like Water is decently possible. And then maybe secondarily Ice. Maybe Ice and Water are like as likely. Flying probably the best. But yeah, this thing is extremely strong. It does have opportunities to nasty plot on me. The main ones are like if I brought Azumarill, I'd be forced out. Sinistra doesn't need into a KO, so that's forced out. Cyclozar doesn't have a way to kill it, that's forced out. Thundurus arguably can't hit it depending on typing. Tinglu never one-shots. I guess that somewhat depends on the Terra typing. Bronzong, same case, doesn't one-shot or two-shot in a lot of cases. So the threat of Thundurus is like, maybe from his point of view, like picking the right Terra type is a bit complicated, but the ability to nasty plot and get a lot of damage isn't something that I can stop. It's something I can manage, but I will have. This is gonna be a game where I sack guys at Thundurus. Is basically what I'm trying to say. Like it's gonna be hard to avoid that happening at one point or another. But I'm not, like, apart from that, I'm not excessively worried about, you know, whether I can. I'm not worried about the idea that like I won't be able to win. It would be given that he can do that. I'm not too worried about that. I just think it's a very good offensive piece for him, and I'm gonna have to make concessions to it to win. Next, we have the Clef. Clef is really annoying. At matchup preview, it didn't intuitively strike me as something that was going to be that troublesome, but in mocks, it ended up being very troublesome. Because, like, while I do have many Pokemon that do beat it, I also have many Pokemon that it forces out. And not that switching into it from an offensive perspective is that difficult, but basically, like, I found myself giving up both rocks and free uncontested T-Waves in multiple cases. Or being in a weird spot where I have to use Ting-Lu to avoid the T-Wave and then heavy slam it, which does work in terms of defeating the Clefable in particular. But like if it's Moonblast, well, of course Moonblast. If it's Helmet and Moonblast, you end up taking like way too much chip, and then like you're opened up against Roaring Moon, like I was saying earlier. You're also arguably opened up against Jirachi, which is from like a purely like traditional offensive perspective where you're clicking attacks and doing damage. It's not so much that type of situation is what I'm opened up to, but running out of guys who can eat Iron Head and live and get like flinched a million times, that's where it gets a little more complicated. So yeah, in a way, like if Clefable is able to wear down Ting-Lu, then I open myself up to hacks and flinches a bit more. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that. I do have a lot of guys that either definitely don't OHKO, some don't even 2-hit KO, and so that makes it like hard for them to stay in at all. So Clefable it doesn't have an overwhelming offensive presence. I don't know that setup is that good into me either, but it is very annoying to say the least. It does kind of like stand in the way of some of my offense, not necessarily in a way that it beats it, but prevents me from kind of like beating the team, if that makes sense. Next we have Quill. Quill matchup is quite bad. Most of my team just beats it outright. That's really all I have to say. I mean, I would never say that it's impossible. I would think if it does come, it's probably as a lead, because the only mileage you're going to get out of this is like Suicide Spike and then maybe debond and take something with you or something like that. From like both an offensive or defensive perspective, this Pokemon is horrible into me. So I think if I see Quillfish, I can expect that it will lead, but otherwise this is like a Pokemon I'm super not worried about. If we have Rotom Wash, this Pokemon is also very annoying because it swaps into a lot of my guys very freely, and because my electric immune is very weak to water, it gets pretty free uncontested Volt Switches. Because like if he Volt Switches, like I go Ting-Lu and he just Hydro, so it is a position where like I'm gonna have to pivot on Hydro. So like I go Ting-Lu to block Volt, and then I go Slowking to take the Hydro, and then like he'll Volt, and then I Chili. That's like the ideal scenario, but the position is like very much in his favor to kind of like play around that. He kind of has all the cards and all the freedom to like make predictions around that, because I won't be able to punish him. Like if he's coming in on Ting-Lu, if he's coming in on like Cyclizar, for example, if he's coming in on Bronzong, it's like if he gets that play wrong, there's literally no punishment. So that's kind of why it's not great. In mocks, like I wouldn't say this ended up being a deal breaker for me, or like the reason I couldn't prevail or win, but it is definitely annoying, and I don't have a lot to stop that. It's more the case like I need to swap on Volt Switch and just kind of swap into sets that can handle what I expect to come in. Now what that ends up meaning is like a lot of lures and stuff like that, or again like if not lures, like a fast-paced game where I'm just like, conceding that I'm sacking guys, basically, like similar to the point I made about Thundurus-T. I would say that like depending on the team that he brings will dictate a lot like how fast, like the tempo of this game. I think for whatever the worth is, like how good like my team might be, I think the tempo of the game is entirely up to my opponent in terms of like whether it'll be a fast-paced game or a slow-paced game, because of like some of the things that I've talked about. So yeah, like any prep I make is going to have to be able to maneuver in both environments. Next we have Mamo. Fortunately for me, I do have some very good conventional Mamo checks in Azumarill, in Bronzong. Certain Annihilates are also very good. But I would still argue like Mamoswine offensively is very strong. There are a few guys that I can swap in safely, which is usually a problem for Mamoswine. Usually Mamoswine is like very strong in every matchup, but it's typing and frailty just make it really hard to get in. But in this case, like it can literally hard come in on G-King. I mean, technically it learns Scald, but if you look at the matchup, like me running water coverage on Slowking is like unworkable. What's even more unworkable is the idea that I would aggressively predict it. Like let's say I just Scald and he goes like Rachi. It's like the dumbest, wackest play ever, pretty much. So yeah, I think Mamoswine, despite having its main weakness, I would say, not apply in this matchup, I do have some good checks. I do think that, like, for example, if I bring Bronzong, like he can safely come in and probably like aggressively knock off the Bronzong. As you can see on the screen, I do have Colbert for this exact reason, but there is a lot to love about Mamoswine in this matchup, I think. I also have a few Ice Weeks. Like I do have the base form, Braviary, I have Thundurus, I have Cycle. These are all guys that like it might not hurt to have Ice Shard in the back for. Maybe Cycles are less so because I don't think defensively he's that worried about it. But you get the idea. Like Mamoswine has a lot of potential in this matchup, I think. It's not one of the more threatening Pokemon in the matchup for sure. Next we have Shaman. I think the Pokemon's pretty bad, really just because of the presence of Slowking. What's also working in my favor is that I brought Sapsibarazu so much. So there's reason to think that he might consider that. I wouldn't even say that that's because like it's particularly likely, but this is his Terra guy. So like if you bring your Terra guy just for it to get countered by an Azu, like you're kind of out of commission. Like it's just very bad use of your slot. So there's that kind of weighing on how my opponent might think about this. But the big hurdle is like getting through G-King, especially. I think Bronzong is also a consideration. Now Bronzong less so because Bronzong can't really damage Shaman. But Shaman does have to also find a way to like damage Kyurem too, which might not be easy. That's probably the main thing. So if we're thinking like bypassing Azu, he may not even try. But after that, it's like Bronzong, Kyurem, Slowking. Maybe he brings Gleam for Kyurem. Like, in terms of like hitting Slowking super effectively, like you'd want to be like ground, right? But then you get hit by Kyurem. So I guess you could be Ghost. Maybe Ghost is a Then if you're like Terra Blast, then you can hit Sinistcha. Yeah, maybe Ghost Shaman is like workable here, maybe. Yeah, that's actually like the only set I can think of. So yeah, I guess if Terra Shaman comes, I guess I expect that it's Ghost. If it's any other type, I can't say that I'm worried about it. I also can't say that I'm worried about it in general. But yeah, and then next we have the Chandelure. Chandelure's pretty strong here. I didn't mock any Chandelure this week, so I kind of come into this not with a ton of experience on how to play it. The main solace that I can find in that is like if Chandelure comes and like something I did play didn't come. But yeah, if you look, like obviously there's a Ting-Lu, but at this point like Ting-Lu is potentially tasked with switching into quite a lot of things. So the strategy of like overwhelming Ting-Lu to open up for Roaring Moon, like if you look at the matchup, like it's very feasible that could be a plan that works in my opponent's favor. And Chandelure is one of multiple Pokemon that can add to that feasibility. It does get the Energy Ball, which is super effectively. Even though there is like Vessel of Ruin as the ability, I mean, Chandelure has 145 special attack. I mean, it is what it is. It's strong. And if he decides to be a Terra type, like Grass, for example, that because he has more freedom to be Grass because he has Shadow Ball to hit the Slowking pretty hard. He may end up making a different decision anyway, but it's an idea. But like it's very reasonable to think that Chandelure can be tailored in such a way that's going to drop Tinglu. Or I mean, at least in a way for me to worry about it, right? You also could do a similar logic for Fairy, because then you would not be weak to ice, and you would hit the dragons that I have. So yeah, that's pretty much how I would assess Chandelure. I couldn't really tell you like what item it would be. I don't know. I don't know. Because I would think it would want to switch moves, but I feel like conventionally, like Chandelure is mostly good when it's Scarf. It's one of those Pokemon that's like kind of only good as Scarf. But I mean, I guess if you're gonna Terror it, then you probably have a different vision for that. But then when I think about, okay, well then what does that look like? Maybe it's like Fairy Boots CM, Terra Blast, Shadow Ball. You know, that might work actually. That might be the answer. Yeah, maybe. Interesting. I hadn't thought about it. Obviously, I've already built a team in Mocked, but I hadn't really thought about it. Yeah, I think that set might actually be pretty good. I didn't face it, and I hardly built for it. But well, I wouldn't say. So I didn't build for it with it explicitly in mind. I'll say that much. But I do have ways to beat it. As you'll see in a second. Last we have Hitmontop. Another Pokemon. These last Pokemon, like, they're so bad, I don't have to really get into it. Like, it loses to everything I have, basically. You know, it loses to Thundurus, loses to Slowking, Annihilate, Azu, Sinistra, you name it. It loses. Braviary, yeah. So, oh, one thing I totally forgot to mention. So you'll probably notice that there are two Pokemon that used to be here, and they're not. In free agency, it was, I forgot, I think it was Ducky. Ducky dropped a bunch of Pokemon that I thought were pretty good. One of them being the Sinistra. So I wanted to pick up the Sinistra, but that ended up being a little more expensive than the Slitherwing that I used to have in its place. So then I downgraded Enamorus to Braviary Hisui. I don't even know if it's a true downgrade, because like one thing I realized is like Enamorus seems like a better Pokemon, and it is stronger. But Hisui Braviary is kind of more in line with what my vision for Enamorus was. I don't know that like Dual Dance as a default method is something I prefer as much as something like Braviary, which can kind of like, you can run like CM and then Esper Wing Stab boost your speed. So like you don't have to truly Dual Dance in that way. Or you can be Sheer Force Agility and then like you're still kind of setting up in one move. So yeah, like it ended up being the case. Like I kind of feel like, I mean, we'll see what the game ends up showing or what the future ends up showing. But I almost kind of feel like I double upgraded in that regard. But I think that's that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get into the team. The first Pokemon we have is the Cyclizar Sub Dracometer Iron Tail knockoff. This set honestly is kind of strange. It's more strange in conception than in practice. Originally, I actually had, I forgot, I think I had something like, it was Sub Draco, and then I had Endeavor Overheat Eject Pack. Also a cool set, but what I had in mind was that Clef would be like the switch, and then I would sub down, then Endeavor the Clef, and then Clef would get cleared if it was like unaware. It would get cleared for like Annihilate. And that's like cool and all, but that doesn't work as well when you're the faster guy, because you sub first and then they Moonblast, and you sub down, but you're not protected by a sub when you Endeavor. So it would be like a true Cyclizar for Clef trade, and that's not necessarily like, that doesn't have to be an issue, but over time, like throughout mocks, I ended up coming to the conclusion that like subbing on Switch in the same way, but then just like Iron Tailing twice is actually better. So yeah, the Iron Tail with the E-Belt, it's not possible to get a guaranteed 2 KO on Fizdef Clef, but it's very close. I think the max attack Iron Tail is like 70%, like 71% chance to 2 KO or something. which is also kind of scary because Iron Tail can also miss. So you have to compound the chance that you get the roll with a chance that you hit 2. But it's better than nothing. Another thing too is like you only have to really hit 1. Because Clef will be kind of forced to attack if it wants to stay in the first place. Another thing is like you don't know what damage Clef might have taken beforehand. Like if it's taken some chip from Annihilate, then one Iron Tail might be all you need, and you might end up being able to keep your sub. Then you Iron Tail kill Clef, and you're behind a sub, you hit something else. The speed is for max speed, Roaring Moon, and the rest is a splash and special attack. The main thing is that the Draco is the best move to revenge Roaring Moon. I don't think it kills, but I think it does like 80s or something like that, like 80 to 90 something. It also does like decent damage, just like 60 to Quill, just like 40 to Rotom, Fizdef Rotom that is. The knockoff Ebel also, it doesn't 2-hit KO Rachi. The first one does like 50 min, but obviously once it's itemless, the subsequent ones don't do as much, but it does kill Rachi in 3. And ultimately, like, I was Overheat before, but Overheat actually takes more than 3 if he's like certain spreads. So knockoff is just superior in that regard, and that's how I ended up getting more physical. But this thing is good because it's actually quite important that I outspeed a lot of the fast guys that he has. I need something that's going to outspeed. If you look at my draft, like you can see that I think Thundurus offensively is very bad in this matchup. And then from there, my whole draft is like slower than 101 even. So having the faster Cyclizar to outspeed the Thundurus and the Roaring Moon is very important. I also think that you end up in a place where you can find the 3 moves that actually hit pretty much most of the team pretty well. When I look at the team, I think the main one that I kind of don't have a great click on is just like Shaman. I think everything else doesn't really like taking the attacks from Cyclizar, despite it being kind of a weak Pokemon. But yeah, that's why I brought that. Another perk is that it actually resists Chandelure stabs, so that's cool. Not actually something I had in mind that much when I was building. I think it was like a minor thought, but not hugely significant. Next we have the Zong. This thing kind of has to come because of the Mamoswine. The Mamoswine gets pretty safe switches on Slowking and to a lesser extent Kyurem. Honestly, like even Tinglu maybe you can make a case for that. And so I can't do this thing where I go where like with a couple of Pokemon, one of them being Azu, like I try to swap in only when I expect an Ice attack, and then I force it out with Aqua Jet. Because even in a world where that works, there's some helmet guys like Rotom or Quillfish or Shaman that make that a net loss for me anyway, even in my ideal scenario. But also, versus the Pokemon I mentioned that Mamo can come in on, he actually has like a pretty safe opportunity to predict. So it's not a given that I get that play right. Like there are other scenarios. There are other scenarios where like you pivot on Mamoswine and like he has to click an Ice move, right? This isn't the case with my team. It's not the case. So that's why like Bronzong has to come. It resists both stabs. Obviously, there's the big knock, but I don't have a safe swap into it otherwise. In fact, and this was the case in Mox, because the turn's kind of free, Mamoswine actually can freely knock too, knowing from a mile away that Bronzong's coming. But it's just that Bronzong can take knockoff better than Azumarill can take Earthquakes, is basically what it comes down to. In the process, I also can get free rocks, because like Gyro does quite a lot to him, so when he does that, like I can throw up rocks. Gyro Ball is the best damage getting on Mamo and on Roaring Moon. That's the main reason why I chose it over something like Heavy Slam, which does very little to Roaring Moon. It's like 40 base power. But Heavy Slam does a lot more to Clef. But the way I justify this move is that one, Clef probably shouldn't be staying in. But the other is that I ran the attack AV so that if I Psychic Noise to block recovery, I think it's like Psychic Noise into Gyro, and then he outspeeds and soft boils into Psychic Noise again, into Gyro. That always kills. So obviously it's kind of like a super contrived calc, but the idea is that in a 1v1, which is the only scenario this could ever be relevant, I always win it. Whereas like if I was less attack, then my psychic into Gyro like doesn't kill is the idea. So in that 1v1, like Clef has to spam heal, and then I'm this set to take advantage of that reality. But yeah, this, you know, HP and defense I think takes 3 knockoffs after rocks each time, something like that. And then the attack is for what I just told you, rest in Spadef. Next we have the Slowking G. This will be tailored pretty closely just to the Thundurus. I was an AV set, but then I ran the numbers. As you can see, like I'm not spin, so we're actually worse off if we're AV with hazards up into the Thundurus. So instead we're just Spadef boots, Sludge Bomb, Psychic, Chilly Reception, and Yawn. I was Flamethrower at one point to hit the draw cheat, but it does so little that really all we're doing is making ourselves pop policy. So the similar thing is true for like for example Hard Chandelure, and then we just pop Flash Fire or whatever. Like it's just not a good bring. On the other hand, like I was thinking T-Wave, because then T-Wave, you know, para stuff, and that's good. There's some things that can swap on Slowking that don't want to be parried, like Roaring Moon is one of them. And I guess Chandelure too, like I just said. But another big one is Mamoswine, and that's Disaster. So instead of that, like it's the same concept, but I did Yawn. Yawn is way more annoying. Another cool thing that I like in general about Chilly plus Yawn combo is that like I can take a hit and Yawn, and in order for my opponent to not let me get the Chilly off and the regen off, you have to be willing to go to sleep for it. And that's usually a trade that opponents are not willing to make. So I really like that combination. But this set always lives +2, I think it's like +2 Terra Flying. Actually, I would say +2 Terra Flying, Terra Blast, but I think T-Bolt, I don't think there's any attack that actually one-shots me. But after a Nasty Plot, the perk of AV is that it avoids 2 KO after rocks. But once you get into a rock and spike, like it's all kind of out the window. But Boots Spadef, the +2 like does 2 KO, but all you really need to do is buy yourself a turn to Yawn. Then you can sack something or Chilly or whatever. I wasn't able to get this calc perfect, but it's close. But with 48 special attack, Sludge Bomb into Cyclozar Draco, I think the min roll is literally like, it might be like 86 or something like that, or 96. Yeah, I think it's 96 min. I couldn't make it kill. It's like a roll to kill. But if we get any prior chip on Thundurus, then I don't even have to Yawn, right? I can just Sludge Bomb, let him kill me, go Cyclozar, and then he's in Draco. And if he swaps, he swaps. But then he's permanently in revenge range for Cyclozar, is the idea there. Next we have the Annihilate. There was a lot of maneuvering I did with this Annihilate. Really, what I found is that so defensively, there's like a decent amount of ways that I can handle or check like the various threats that he has, despite how strong they are. Like I did feel like defensively I had a path towards dealing with them, but coming up with win cons that reliably beat, like kind of like break through this team, was very difficult. I ended up at one point like making a pace that was just like like any win con that I could conceive of being possible, and then I just loaded up into a mock and just tried to ball out and win, and of course I didn't, right? And that's like not you would never build a real team with that being the idea. But when you inevitably lose, it does become like very clear what the parameters are, that like what the clear limits are on your win con and whether you can overcome them or not. Like for example, I had like an Iron Defense Weakness policy, Sinistra, but it just like doesn't work. The thing that was like hard to take about it is like it actually has a lot of setup opportunities here. Like it's very easy to set up, but even when it does, it just doesn't win because of various sets that he could be, like Unaware Clef, the general existence of Roaring Moon. But yeah, that's kind of a tangent. But where we ended up here with Annihilate, I was experimenting with like Bulk Up Rest, 2 attacks, Rage Fist and Terra Blast for like Terra Steel as one of them. Then I had like Rage Fist, Drain Punch, Rest Talk, and blah blah blah. But what I found that kind of moved me in the direction of this set is that I did want to lead Cyclizar in early mocks, but I kept facing Mamo teams, and in the event Mamo leads, it's obviously a horrible matchup. So my idea was like lead Cyclizar unless he's Mamo, then lead Annihilate. But then what ends up happening is I found myself always leading Annihilate because there was always a Mamo. So at that point, I wanted to tailor the Annihilate into like a better set that leads better in general. And then before you know it, you have lead Annihilate. But because yeah, I was rest, and the benefit of rest was dealing with status. But then if you're rest, like rest Chesto can only get you so far. In order for Annihilate to like break through or like beat this team, it's gonna have to bulk up like several times. It's gonna need longevity. It's gonna need repeated rests. You know what I mean? And so having the rest just for status and like burning a Chesto one time, like that just is not, that was not good enough. But the alternative that I thought is like, you know, the other thing that stops status is taunt. Because a lot of the guys that might status me, I would reasonably expect to be slower. I'm Terra Steel too to deter some of the moves that they might otherwise click into me super effectively. Most notably, T-Wave Clef, reducing the incentive for it to Moonblast as I safely taunt on it. But that's the idea. And then the recovery rather than rest is like protect leftovers. But like in concept, like it's very easy to imagine how Annihilate takes like many small hits, and the power of Rage Fist kind of like accumulates. And that's kind of the vision for how this is going to work. I don't remember. I did a lot of calcs to arrive at this attack number, but I think it's something to the effect of like +1 Rage Fist after one hit, 2 AKOs, Fizdef, Clef. Obviously, that's like Magic Guard, and then I think like plus like unaware, but 2 hits, then 2 AKOs or something like that. But is some sort of Clef justification was how I arrived at this attack. This speed is for max speed but adamant, base 80s. In this case, it's just Mamoswine and Chandelure, which would be modest in this example, but we outspeed those. And we Rage Fist. I mean, I guess in theory we could block rocks with Taunt on Mamoswine, but lead Mamoswine could be oblivious in theory, so I don't know if that would work as well. I think instead we would rely on the idea just that like he would swap, fearing the fight move, and so like maybe I just raw bulk up. Which honestly, like looking at his team, that's not really a bad start either, if I were to do that. That's the idea with this. Next we have Tinglu. I sort of alluded to this when I was talking about how to check Roaring Moon, but this is a pretty simple Rocky Helmet, you know, Fizdef-ish thing. It takes 3 U-turns from Adamant Scarf, Roaring Moon. I don't know if it's Adamant Scarf or Jolly Band, one of those two. Earthquake, Heavy Slam, Ruination. We are 148 speed to creep Clef, Heavy Slam 2 KOs with this attack. And yeah, the little 16 HP, Rest and Spit F. That's the idea here. This will come in on Roaring Moon, and to a lesser extent, it'll also come in on Jirachi. Normally, I don't want to like designate a Pokemon to multiple guys, but I expect that the Jirachi that comes will not be able to really damage Tinglu at all, so I don't think I'll lose that much doing it. When it comes to like on switch, it will depend on what he ends up bringing, whether Spikes or Ruination on switch is better. But one of those two will be the thing I go for on switch. Spikes would really just be the first time, and then it'd be Ruination after that. But like Ruination into Heavy Slam drops Clef, Fizdef Clef, so I don't have to like predict aggressively by Heavy Slamming twice. That's like a huge advantage of that. But Ruination is also just in general very good. Like it hits Rotom too. It's like the best way I can hit Rotom with this. And then last we have the Braviary Hisui, Terra Electric. And actually, I am still to deter Moonblast. I do not plan on tearing the Annihilate. I am tearing the Braviary. This thing is Sheer Force, Heavy Duty Boots, Psychic, Heat Wave, Deactivate Agility, Terra Electric. The main challenge that I was having with this Hisui Wincon is that so many things can paralyze it. They always live 1. In the case of like Spidef Rachi, they can even live like 2, I think. Or maybe that's just AV Body Slam or something. But I need to be able to avoid para. But then another plus is like I can actually get a safe agility off on Thundurus, because if I'm electric, then he can't 2-hit KO me. But when you're fast, or let me rephrase, when you're agility, it allows you to run more special attack, which is important because you actually need to be roughly this special attack to 2-hit KO Clefable with Psychic. This is Fizdef Clefable, which I do expect. I think it's 200 that it's 200 that just does 50 min to that Clef. But I'm actually maxed because Dazzling Gleam is a roll in my favor to kill Roaring Moon, but it's not guaranteed. So this is just to give the most favorable Dazzling Gleam roll that we can give. After that, the 80 is that after agility, we outspeed everything, including the Roaring Moon. And in this bulk, 136.40. Originally, it could have been something like this. But the reason it's this is I think it changes the Zen Headbutt. Jirachi is under a 3 KO if you move a little bit of HP into Fizdef. But I think that Braviary has like it's fairly easy and safe to set up on a lot of guys once it's Terra Electric, including like the Clef, the Rachi, the Rotom, the Quill, the Thundurus. Maybe you get the idea. But it's like so strong, especially with Sheer Force, that the safe agility and just clicking these 3 attacks, it's very reasonable to imagine a world where like late game, like this just, we get this in its boots, so we don't have to worry about rocks. Like the idea that we could late game clean with this, it seems like very feasible. So that's why I brought that. Also, like going back to what I said earlier, among like the various wincons I tried, this was basically like the only one that was workable. Like my weird Sinistras and my weird Curums and whatnot, they were just too garbage. But this set ended up being pretty good. So yeah, that's everything. I think cover the matchup, cover the team. So yeah, not much more to say. So I'm gonna go ahead and get into the battle. So I'll see you in a second. All right, let's see what didn't come. So there's no Mamoswine. Okay, that makes my life way easier. It does. Bronzong was brought explicitly for that Mamoswine, so it's pretty freed up now. Let's see. He didn't tell me the terrors yet. Shandy, Ghost, Electric, Thundurus. Okay. Shan, Clef, Quill, Jirachi, Roaring Moon, Thundurus. So one thing I had thought throughout building is that like I kind of wanted to lead Cyclozar, but Mamoswine kept coming in mocks. Was like if Mamoswine came, then I would bring Annihilate. There isn't a Mamoswine here, so in theory I could lead Cyclozar, but I ended up tailoring my Annihilate set in such a way where it's like good at leading. So it doesn't really matter at this point. I think it matches up very well into all the leads because it could be Clef, Rachi, or Quill. And we shape up pretty well into all of them. So Ghost, Shand, Electric, Thundurus. I actually didn't play a lot of I didn't play a lot of Chandelure in mocks, and by didn't play a lot, I mean I didn't play any. Yeah, he almost didn't get his lead in there. Alright, let's have a good game. T-Row, we're 3-1, we're looking 4-1. We have a spot at the top of the league that we're trying to defend. I am fairly nervous. I didn't like this matchup going in, as I discussed in the team builder, which is like, defensively, I think I have a lot to maneuver around his offense, but coming up with like good offense for me into him was very difficult. So I felt like in like a protracted long-term battle, like I was on the losing end of that. So we do see the lead Quillfish, and it is Balloon. I'm not fast in this, but I do have a fair bit of speed. He's not Intimidate, so he must be Poison Point. We don't have a great move to hit this, but if we have the opportunity to block Spikes, T-Wave, or I guess D-Bond, whatever the case may be, then I would think that we should. I don't think he's going to be inclined to go for like Bar Barrage when we can threaten Steel. So I think I'm going to taunt. Whoa! Alright, so we had a little mishap there. At the moment, I'm not really sure what it was, but we're back. Fortunately, it was only turn 1, so same leads. My cat's down here clawing my foot. I'm gonna go ahead and taunt. I think I explained why. If we have a decent chance of being faster, unless he's literally max speed, in which case we can block spikes and T-Wave. I don't think that he will bar barrage, because we do have a threat of being steel. He is balloon, he's poison point. Forgot to write that down. So he's gonna hard swap. I would expect that this is gonna be into the clef. I don't know what else you swap in here. Hard Rachi. Okay. So I'm gonna go for taunt. At this point, like, so this is another Pokemon that can like lead fairly well instead of hazards and all that. So if you can't rock T-Wave set up, his options likely here are to just like if he has Psychic, then he'll click it. I don't think he does though. I don't know why you would ever bring Psychic into like a Bronzong Tinglu matchup. Two very viable switch-ins into this. This also isn't like the worst opportunity to just I might just bulk up. Or I could protect to scout. I'm gonna bulk up. Look, you know what? Fuck it. Let's do it. So swaps again. What are we doing? This is now. What is this? Okay, now we're back into Clef. What is this supposed to do? So obviously there's the threat of Moonblast, but he has to respect that I could be Terra Steel. He's not gonna just set up on me. I think he's gonna feel like he has to attack. And if I can scout his attack, then that would be great. I think I'm gonna protect. I feel confident. Like this could be unaware, but I feel like he knows that I'm Steel, and if I do Terra, I still 2-hit kill him regardless. So I feel like no matter what set he is in a position where he really wants to attack. Now, Moonblast, I don't even think 2-hit KO is like a Spadef Annihilate, which I'm not, but he doesn't know that. He seems to be quite uncomfortable with this Taunt Annihilate lead, but I'm struggling to make progress myself because I'm still like feeling out what his sets are. So it's fair to reason though that Jirachi is not Psychic or like Moonblast. Well, Moonblast is silly. Goes for the Trick. Hold on. Trick. Okay. What are the odds he's Trick Scarf? Why would? Because I feel like he's not Trick Scarf because he already naturally outspeeds many of the recipients that he would want to get a Scarf on. Like, you don't need to be Scarf to trick something on a Zong, to trick something onto Tinglu, to trick something onto Slowking. And other recipients, like, giving them a Scarf isn't even good. So, you know what? Screw it. Also, if he gives me a Scarf, like, I guess it's not like that. Okay, he's gonna swap again. Alright, so I feel good about saying that this Clef is Specs. That's what I'm concluding here. So now we're back into Shandy. The thing with Shandy now is like, I just kill you if you're not Scarf, right? I just kill you. So, I think I'm gonna protect it in Scout. Like he must be Scarf. He has to be. Because like, why this play is incomprehensible if you're not Scarf. Because then you can outspeed. The thing is, he has to worry about whether I am going to which Terra type I'm gonna be. Because I could go Steel if he Shadow Balls and then just kill him. That'd be very bad. So for him, from his point of view, there's actually a 50-50 going on here. From my point of view, he's 100% Scarf, or I just kill him. Because he's Terra Ghost, so if he Terra Ghost, I still hit him super effective. So I always protect here to see what he's going to lock, because I know he's Scarf. But for him, like, he needs to pick the right stab. So he's under, like, kind of a lot of pressure. Now, the frustrating thing is I'm still feeling out the sets. So, like, as you can see, I'm not actually making progress in terms of damage, but I did get, like, a ton of information. So, ooh, he clicks Fire Blast. This is definitely Scarf. One thing I want to see, where's my mouse? I think I want to see how much does Scarf so the Fire Blast does like, if he's Scarf, Modest, Fire Blast does like 64-ish. I am lefties, so I would take Fire Blast. Let's say I take a little over half, then I take 6. It take about half. I think it's worth killing him over though. So I think I am just gonna Rage Fist. If I take the Fire Blast, like, it is what it is. I gotta grab my mouse. Alright, so we hard swaps. Let's see what's gonna take the +1 Rage Fist. Now it is the weak Rage Fist. It goes hard Roaring Moon now. I mean, I can only assume it's Ogobina, right? Okay, booster. This is booster attack. Okay, yeah, booster attack. I figured. Okay, Jesus. Alright, so, I mean, this is gonna eat, obviously. Booster attack. This is confirmed. Okay, what is this gonna do? What can this even do? I feel inclined to swap. But I mean, he can't... If I'm +1 defense, his best hit's gonna be like Outrage. He might beat me one-on-one though. That's the thing. Let me do some Roaring Moon calcs real quick. Because I am +1 defense. If he hits me, he's gonna boost my Rage Fist. So I would assume actually that he wants to like DD or something. That's what I would think he would want to do. He also could knock. That would actually be pretty lame. So I feel inclined to swap. I mean, U-turning was completely boneheaded here. He also doesn't know... I think I'm gonna swap Tinglu. If he doubles, then good play. Okay, he's definitely faster than me, so I think he just went for an attack here. So he's gonna click the... What's he gonna click? He goes for Dragon Dance. Okay. I don't believe this will do that much to me. Because he doesn't even have a... There isn't really even a move for this. +1. Booster attack. Yeah, Dragon Claw doesn't even 2-hit KO, and he's gonna take Helmet. So I kind of want to like Ruination almost. I think I'll Earthquake. We'll see what he goes into. There's no Earthquake swap here except for like hard Thundurus, but my Tinglu beats Thundurus. Well, I don't know if it exactly beats. Goes for the Dragon Claw. Okay, that is not a 2-hit KO, which is good. Okay, so he almost dies right there. Honestly, Tinglu like would be pretty low, but I think I'm just gonna go for the KO. Another thing to consider though is like I can get a Spike Up. If he has to hit me twice, then I can get a Spike Up, and that would be good against a lot of guys, I think. Maybe not. I'm not sure if it would actually. I don't know if that's 16% or not, if he dies to Helmet with that. I could Heavy Slam to catch the Clef. I think I'd rather Earthquake. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna Earthquake. Because like I don't know for sure that if he dies to Helmet, then this is a misplay. Yeah, he does. Ah! I should have spiked. I knew I should have spiked. That was a mistake. We'll see how much it matters. We will see how much it matters if the spike racking up is helpful. We do know that the Chandelure Scarf, so that would have been nice for that. I don't think we know any other items though. Because like I feel pretty strongly that Clef is Specs, but Clef could be Magic Guard. In fact, I would assume that it is. Well, it could be Unaware. It still could be Unaware. It really could. So we'll see. What is nice is that he is going to go into something that's going to pick off my Tinglu, and then I just kind of like go into my swap of choice. So in theory, from his point of view, this could be like a free plot, a free agility, maybe. But the thing is, if I get a nice hit off, if I like Ruination, I go Cyclizar. Draco should kill. I could also just go hard G-King. I could go hard Jeek and get a hit off, then sack Ting-Lu, heal Slowking back up, then revenge with Cyclozar. Yeah, that's actually a lot smarter. I'm actually him for thinking that up. Yeah, I can only assume he's going into this to set up. Because like I don't know what else you're taking advantage of here. So he's going to go ahead and just goes for Terra Blast. So this is a Terra Blast. This is a normal Terra Blast. I kind of want to yawn. Because I expect the Jirachi, I expect the swap to be the Jirachi. But I mean, chilling would be nice, but if he theoretically stayed in, like that'd be really annoying, right? I kind of want. Should I just chili? If I chili and he goes Rachi, what's my play there? If I chili goes Rachi, I go Annihilate. Maybe I just attack. That'd be the swap if he's gonna make one. So I could yawn, and then that would be nice. Yeah, I think I'm actually gonna yawn because it covers Nasty Plot, and if he goes hard Jirachi, he's gonna have to literally go to sleep in order to get Rocks out. Goes into the Clef. No, this is not Clef. This is the Rachi, like I was thinking. I got tripped up on the nicknames. All right, so he's going to have to rock. Like if he wants to rock, he's gonna have to go to sleep to do it. If he wants to do anything, he's gonna have to go to sleep to do it. So now I'm gonna chili. We'll see what decision he ends up making. I can see him swapping again, in theory. So we'll see what that ends up looking like. One thing I just thought of is like Chandelure. Does Chandelure get like? Oh, he swaps again. So he does not want to. He doesn't want to go to sleep. I think Chandelure's back. So we're gonna swap here. So this ended up working out great. We end up getting, nothing really takes any meaningful damage, and we preserve the Ting-Lu sack. Now that Chandelure is here, I don't know if it has a move for Cyclozar. Because like I can go Annihilate, Protect, but I assume that he's going to go into something that can take advantage of that. Or he may be inclined to just attack. When I think I want to, I feel like I could win with it. I could possibly win with the Annihilate, is the thing. So I think I kind of want to go into Cyclozar and then like sub maybe. Because I honestly don't remember if this has D-Gleam, but I don't think it's clicking it if it does. So it's either Annihilate or Hard Annihilate. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go to Cyclozar because like I still don't know Rachi's set really, so I don't actually know what's gonna work and what isn't. Oops, didn't mean to do that. So I think I'm gonna sub because I think going like hard Clef is very feasible for him. And then I just don't think that Chandelure either has a move for this, or is gonna click it if it does. Okay, so he swaps. I'm almost certain this is Clef. Another thing is that I'm a lot more free to be flexible with the Cyclozar. Its health at least, because I mean, one, it's regen and no hazards are up. Because I've done a good job of keeping hazards off, but the Roaring Moon is dead. Okay, so I want to Iron Tail this twice. I'll be honest with you, I really do. I'm worried about missing. But hey, I brought Iron Tail for a reason. Let's hit. Oh, we hit. This is so fire. Okay. This is gonna do... Okay, that is not Fizz Def at all. That is super not Fizz Def. Goes for Moonblast. Okay. So this is Specs. I mean, obviously, it's not like I know the damage off Specs, but based on how he played it, I feel confident this is Specs, that he's gonna be locked into the Moonblast. And that Iron Tail did 1,000,000. Here's the thing, though. I am regen, and there's no hazards up. So... he knows, or at least has a good hunch, that I might think he's Specs. If I were to sub here again as he swaps, and he swaps, okay, he doesn't swap. He just spamming Moonblast. That had big upside if I caught him being aggressive. And it comes, for me, it comes at little risk because I have regen. That sub that I just took, I'm regenning it all off plus 8%. So it's not really a big deal. That being said, he is almost certainly going to Moonblast again because he's locked into it. My Bronzong is very flexible here, so I'm going to use this as an opportunity to get Rocks up. It would be nice if he moved less again. I think if I'm him, like surely I'm going to make a nice swap here. That would be good on him. I do have the Tinglu sack. If this janky kind of situation that we're in, if I end up on the wrong side of it, then I do have the Tinglu sack. Roaring Moon being down is actually huge for me. Because I'm not like terribly sure how. I don't know how I lose this, but so I swap. I'm faster, so of course I would swap first. Hopefully, if he Moonblasts again, that would be really nice. Does he switch? Ooh, okay. Don't go into something that I care about. What does he go into? To Jirachi. Okay. I, in theory, can Earthquake this. In theory. But I think I just want to get rocks up. Because like I can go hard Annihilate if I want to. I don't think he's Psychic. So I don't think he's Psychic because he would have clicked it on Annihilate after he saw that I wasn't willing to Terra. But if he's not Psychic, then he's probably not CM or set up in the first place. He might be physical, he might just be Iron Head / Zen Headbutt. So this makes me think that it is a rocker set, because when I taunted, that made him swap. So this does make me think it's a utility Rachi of some kind. I'm okay with letting rocks up. So I'm right. I deduced this set properly. So rocks is one of the sets. We're gonna trade rocks. I think rocks benefit me way more than they benefit him. Not in a way that he can necessarily know, because a part of me saying that is because I have a bunch of boots guys. But now I gotta think what I want to do here, because he could. All he's revealed is rocks, I think, and then I'm deducing that he's no Psychic, which is a fair deduction on my part. Not that he would click it here anyway if he had it. I could go hard Tinglu and sack. I could also go hard Annihilate. That would be pretty good for me, actually. I think I'm gonna go hard Annihilate. See what he wants to do. I'm also going to heal because I'm leftovers and this is rock. I will literally heal off whatever rock damage I take. So we're gonna see what this is. What's for Encore? Okay. So big turn for me. However, it makes it a little harder. It makes it a little harder for me to just like start bulking up. However, with the Clefable so low, I actually can just Rage Fist. Even though it's the weak Rage Fist, I can just Rage Fist, I think. And just take, like, damage is damage at this point. So if this Jirachi is rocks and Encore and it's not Psychic, this thing literally might not be able to hit me. It could be T-Wave, but I think he almost certainly would have clicked it if he had it. Actually, is that true? It's possible I made a mistake here, but another reason not to be T-Wave is just that there's a Tinglu. That's such an easy swap. Really, a lot of the swaps on here on Jirachi are either immune or like they're not. They're either immune or like they're things that you don't benefit much from pairing in the first place. So that's another reason why I just don't think he's T-Wave. I am kind of relying on a lot of deductions here and assumptions about how he will prep, but they're all, in my opinion, very reasonable and they seem to be being vindicated. So he swaps out hard. So something is going to take a weak Rage Fist. It's going to be the Thundurus, which is okay. He has boots because he does not take rocks. Not that that's like terribly surprising. That did a lot. Why did that do so much? Alright, so I'm going to swap. I'm going to go back to G-King. It worked out last time. And if he agilities, then we just beat him straight up. If he nasty plots, then we get a hit off, sack Tinglu, go into Cyclozar, and then we're good on that front as well. So he's going to plot. Alright, so what I just said happened is what we're going to do. So I'm going to Sludge Bomb. And then sack Tinglu. I don't think there's... He is Terra Electric, but it doesn't kill. So... I mean, and yeah, I would imagine that he has to Terra Electric here. Because, like, if you intended on... You only nasty plot if you intend on like hitting what comes in, right? So the only reason you even got a prayer is if you're trying to, like, Terra Electric +2 T-Bolt, the Slowking G. Okay, so he's going to Terra, which means the Chandelure is not going to be Terra. So he was Thunderbolt and Terra Blast, I just realized, on an electric Thundurus. We can assume probably that the last move was something for Ting Lu. Not that it's going to matter. But it's probably Focus Blast or Grass Knot. So we just gotta live this. Okay, and we do. No para. Please do not full para. Do not full para. It would be so bad. Oh my god! That was really bad. Oh my god, that was so bad. That was so bad. That was so bad, because I would have not been paired. I could regen some of this back, sack Ting, go Cyclozar, kill Thundurus, and it would be set. Now, at this health, I don't even have something that kills this. So I'm gonna have to sack 2 guys now to do this. This is so bad. This is so bad. Oh man. Okay. For what it's worth, we're at least going to sack Ting Lu, like almost certainly. I mean, if we're lucky, he's Focus Blast. He misses Focus Blast. I mean, that'd be lucky, right? That was such a bad. That was a catastrophically terrible para. Oh my god, that was so bad. All right, goes for Thunderbolt. All right, please be Focus Blast and miss Focus Blast. Now there is good reason to think that he is Focus Blast because we have Kyurem, which we didn't bring. So I'm just gonna Earthquake. Please miss. Please miss. Because his other move is Terra Blast. We know all 4. So he's got to be Focus Blast, and we need him to miss it very badly. We desperately need him to miss this. Oh, that was awful. That was a terrible para. That was so bad. So lucky. Ah, of course he hits. Fuck me. So I gotta sack 2 Pokemon now. Thundurus-T. Our get out of jail free card is that Braviary is gonna live 1. +2, electric, +2. So I could get going with Braviary, I guess. I guess that's all we got, right? He could Focus Blast. That would be really bad, actually. Ooh, if he Focus Blasted. 30 seconds. Does Bronzong kill this? Or does this kill Bronzong is a better question. Thunderbolt? Yeah, it does. Ah, shit. I end up having to do this play anyway. This is so irritating. So if he calls this correctly, if I Terra and he just Focus Blast and he hits, I lose. I straight up fucking lose. This is absolutely horrible. That was so lucky. A para already is 10%. Then he gets the full para. Like, are you kidding me, dude? I think I do want to agility. Did I hit R? Did I not hit R? I think I just fucked up. I think I just made a mistake. I think I just didn't hit R. Did I just not hit R? I think I just didn't hit R. Man, I hope he Focus Blasts. I mean, it's a 50-50 anyway, right? So... Oh, I did hit R. Okay. Well, I guess I'm relieved. I'm relieved. I mean, who even knows, right? Let's hope he T-bolted. Surely he T-bolted. Surely. Because if Focus Blast is a lower odds play, because it's 50-50 of whether I Terra, and then you have to hit. So he Thunderbolted. Okay, thank God. This is going to do a lot. This does like 80 or something like that. Okay, that did 1,000,000%. Okay, so we're gonna agility, and the idea here basically is like we're gonna psychic this, and then we're gonna take another. That's basically what we gotta do. That was so unlucky. That was so unbelievably unlucky that happened. The right play for him probably is like sack Clef, go Jirachi. That's probably what he should do. And that's probably what he's going to do. I can't believe that happened. I can't believe that happened. Oh my God. Oh, he goes hard Quillfish. Alright, we're sacking Quillfish. This is going to take 2,000%. So you could, I mean, we live to fight another day, I guess. Very frustrating. So next, what does he go into? Goes into Jirachi. Now the fun thing, we're slower than everything. I was gonna say the fun thing we could do is like go into Annihilate to get the free hit, but that's actually not gonna work. So we're just gonna Heat Wave. It'll do a lot. Like it will do a lot. I think it does around 60. So I mean, it's not all lost, but that was unbelievably horrible that happened. Oh my god! I got this game literally got robbed from me. It did. It did. I'm just saying it. It did. It got robbed from me. This is fucking bullshit. Last move, U-turn. Now, what's so frustrating with Annihilate is that the combination of Scarf, Chandelure into the faster Thunderbolt T-Bolt is going to take out the Annihilate. So it's like unwinnable, basically. Or I gotta do it all in the back of Cyclozar somehow. Well, Chandelure's out. So I guess I go... So I guess I go Cyclozar. And I click Knock. Yeah, we're gonna have to win off the back of Cyclozar. That's like the only path here. He doesn't kill me with anything, I'm almost certain. Can never be too certain, I guess. LOL. XD. I am unbelievably enraged right now. Okay, this Fire Blast never kills. Okay, so we can knock. Yeah, because if he does stay in, so he goes for Fire Blast, he misses. Whatever, you deserve it, and worse. So this dies. All right, Chandelure's down. So what I just said, we're now back in business because now Annihilate lives one from Thundurus. Lives one from Thundurus. We also have the full health Bronzong, which is more significant than you would think. So now we have Jirachi. Rocks U-turn Encore. Rocks U-turn Encore, and I don't even think it has a move for me. If he's Ironhead, if he's defensive Ironhead, this doesn't even kill me. So I think I might want to knock this. Because if he's Ironhead or Zen, he doesn't kill. And all his other moves are weak. And every other swap is kind of bad. Unless I went hard Annihilate and just Rage Fisted. You know, that wouldn't be terrible. That would not be that bad, actually. Well, if the U-turn went Thundurus and then plotted, that would be a disaster. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna go Annihilate. Whatever move that he has that to hit me, it's gonna be very weak and boost my Rage Fist. That's what I'm thinking here. And if I'm right, then I kind of just win. Okay, goes for Ironhead. This isn't gonna do anything. Okay. So we just boosted our Rage Fist. Very important. And he is Leftovers. Did I miss that? Is this new information or did I miss that? Okay. So we healed up our Cyclozar, which is pretty nice actually. And I think I'm going to Protect. Because we know the full set. So I'm going to Protect, get more health. Because now, like, it just comes down to whether he's faster than me and if he's going to flinch me, like, all these times, basically. The answer is, like, surely not, right? Surely not. But I am a 100 base power Rage Fist, and if he does move first on me in an attempt to flinch me, then I'm gonna be 150 base power Rage Fist. So I'm just gonna Rage Fist. He can't flinch me every single time, right? Like he can't, right? How is he gonna do that? In fact, honestly, if he flinches me once, like I might just go into Bronzong. I might just go into Bronzong because this actually doesn't have a move for Bronzong. So that might be what I end up doing. Goes for the Iron Head. Don't flinch. Let's see if he flinches me. He does flinch me. All right, we gotta start thinking about keeping some health on this. That's like the thing here. What is cool about Bronzong is that Earthquake is actually free, so I'm gonna protect because we gotta stay out of range of the T-Bolt. That's the main thing. We can't let him Iron Head us down. Even if we come out on the other side, it's just not something we can do. You know, now that I realize it, doesn't Bronzong sweep? Doesn't Bronzong sweep? Hold up. Strangest sentence ever, but doesn't Bronzong just win? What do we have for a well-played Bronzong? Because now that we're Terra Electric, he's gonna have to flinch the Bronzong like 1,000 times. Oh, good. You know, I look like a genius. I actually didn't think of that. He can Encore me into Protect, right? Well, now we're gonna Earthquake, and we spam Earthquake. There's no swap. There's literally no swap. So, because the Clef is so low, he's gonna Iron Head. Dude, you gotta flinch me like 8,000 times. You know, and by the way, he might. He might flinch me 1,000,000 times. I mean, how unlucky can I be, right? Like, how unlucky can I be? The thing is, all I need is to get this in range of knock. So I think I can just Earthquake once and it'll do it. Okay, so I Earthquake. How much does this do? Okay, we're gonna have to get another one. Another thing that's annoying is like with the flinches, he gets further and further out of range of the knock too. Now the thing is though, is that I got my Cyclozar back to full, so the Iron Head, like I'm even more comfortably in range or out of range of the Iron Head. So, actually, Earthquake. Okay, so that's pretty lucky. A part of me kind of wants to go hard Cyclozar, honestly. Let me see. Am I out of range of Thundurus? If I'm still out of range of Thundurus Therian, then I think I just want to go hard Psych. That's what I think I want to do. Thundurus, Bronzong, and the T-Bolt would do 218. Oh, I'm not. So I always drop to Thundurus here. So I think I do actually just Earthquake again. Yeah. Health on this no longer matters. I always drop to T-Bolt. So that is unfortunate. We'll see what he ends up doing. I was thinking a long time on this turn. Apparently he's thinking. He's doing a fair bit of thinking. The only thing that's kind of annoying is if Bronzong goes down, then Annihilate probably goes down. Yeah, it does. Ooh, I'm in trouble. I am in trouble. Earthquake. Okay, then I flinch. One thing that is good is that I will live a hit with G-King. I need to not get parried. That's what it's like. I need to not get parried with G-King. That's horrible. That's horrible. Oh, that's so bad. Yeah, this is going to come down to me not getting parried with G-King. Earthquake. Okay. So this is not going to kill, but we're close. I need to break through one more time, and we will drop the Jirachi. Man. Earthquake. Goes for U-turn. Okay. Well, this is interesting. He must have gone Clef. Like, he went Clef. That's what happened here. Right? It's Clef. Okay, hard Clef. This probably doesn't kill, I don't think. It does. Okay. Hold up. Hold up. What's going on here? Now we're kind of in an interesting spot. So Thundurus is here. He's got to just T-Bolt. Yeah, Yeah, he's gotta just T-bolt. He's gonna T-bolt. Yep, so this dies. Now, if I go... If I go into the... If I go into Cyclozar, I Draco, he Focus Blast, he kills me. Ooh, I think I'm gonna have to live one with G-King. Slow King, Galar. Here it is. The game is on the line right here. This is the game right here. The whole game is right here. I'm just gonna Psychic. Please do not get full parried. Literally the whole game is right here. Don't get full parried. Do not get full parried. We live this. Well, he could crit me too, I guess. The reason I Psychic is in case he swaps into Jirachi. Do not get full parried. Literally, the game is on this not getting full parried. The whole game is right here. It's right here. Please do not get full parried. Do not get full parried. Please, please, please. Fuck! Alright. Let's see. There's another path. Divided by 3. So 75 plus 130, 205. We get another shot. If we swap, we get another shot. In fact, we can get another shot and keep Annihilate, actually. So we can go hard Cyclozar. Well, then I gotta break through flinches again. Yeah, I'd have to break through the flinch. Annihilate. Is Annihilate close to out of range? 270? Ooh, it is. So it would take... If I protected... Okay, hold up. Yeah, I'm gonna go hard Annihilate, or hard Cyclozar. Because I don't think he's gonna Focus Blast, because there's a chance it doesn't even kill. I can T-Bolt here, and knock. So he T-Bolts. Here we go. We're gonna eat this. Damn. Oh, he crit me. Of course he did. Of course he did. Of course he did. LOL. Of course he did. So I kind of want a Draco. Well, hold on. Hold on. I have to hit here, actually. Did I make a mistake? I think I made a mistake, actually. I made a mistake. Fuck, I fucked this up. Because I have to be faster than Rachi. Or I gotta be faster than Thundurus, too. One thing... Well, this still has to come down to a para. It still comes down to a para. Yeah, I have to prioritize the damage. I have to get the damage. If I miss, I like super lose, is the main thing. Okay. Alright. I think I might have... Did I choke this or does it not matter? I'm not sure. Okay, back to G-King. We live another one. We live another one. Now, one could argue that I should yawn, actually. If I yawn and he takes me out, he falls asleep. No, I Psychic, because I think Rachi will die to Rocks Plus. Yeah, so please do not full para. Do not. Please do not. Okay. Alright, now Rachi just needs to not flinch Annihilate like 7,000 times. That's all we need. Do not flinch me 7,000 times. And then we'll be good. Oh my god. God damn it. This fucking game. Holy shit. All right, I think I want to yawn because that makes life like super easy. But he's just gonna iron hit me. Okay. So we need to get as much health as we can get. So we go Annihilate. And now we just have to not get flinched 8 million times. That's it. Shouldn't be too hard, right? Actually, we can't. Actually, I have to attack because he can encore me into protect. I totally forgot about that. I totally forgot about that, please. Oh my god, man, this is not good. This is not good. That's why I needed Cyclozar to be fat. I needed to preserve the Cyclozar. But then it forces a 50-50 with Thundurus. It forces 50-50 with Thundurus, where he can nasty plot on my protect. So I thought about this play after the game and in the days that immediately followed. And I actually think that this was the right play. The reason is that if you rely on Annihilate to live one from Thundurus, I necessarily need a protect to get out of range of T-Bolt. So not only do I carry the normal odds of like the para, full para, and the crit, of course, but also when I protect, I'm introducing the additional 50-50 of whether he just nasty plots and calls my protect, and then I guarantee to absolutely lose if he does that. Whereas if I go Cyclozar first, I live the Thunderbolt, I get the knock that I need. Then I go Slowking after that, potentially kill the Thundurus, and then it's just a one-on-one between Annihilate and Jirachi. And the odds of me breaking through 1 out of 2 Iron Heads is better than the odds of me not winning the Thundurus exchange with Annihilate. So yeah, as you can see, like I was unsure about this play at the time, but I actually think, after thinking about it, that this play going hard Cyclozar was actually the correct play, and pretty heads up on my part. So please break through. Please break through. Don't flinch. Don't flinch. Yes! 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 Let's fucking go! Good game. We'll see you next week. 4-1. 4-1.